Welcome, adventurers. Today on Rebel Then King, I am going to build out a party using only Alchemists to see what I can get out of the Alchemist class. So, as a reminder, I'm going to try to do so without the field medic background, without cheesing human abilities too much, like an extra class feat or general training, without cheesing other ancestry abilities. I want to get the most out of the class itself, and I think that Alchemist is going to do well. In fact, I know it is because I've already built and used some of these characters earlier, but that was sort of analyzing them on their own. And in this video, we're going to talk about how they interact with each other. Hey, adventurers, I bet you don't want to hear me talking about liking, commenting, and subscribing, but I bet you do want to hear me talking about knife throwing. This channel is approaching 2 years old, and I'm going to celebrate here on YouTube with a knife throwing tutorial and analysis video that might look a little bit like this. I am also going to celebrate over on twitch.tv/RebelThenKing with a debut stream on March 27th. I'm going to look back at my channel over the last couple of years, at Pathfinder over the last couple of years, and hopefully that will be the start of a lot of behind the scenes and sort of variety content. So again, subscribe here on YouTube for knife throwing and follow me over on Twitch for that debut stream. So let's start out with the upfront hammer, who is an orc. I have noticed I choose orcs for upfront hammers quite a lot, and what do you know, I use orc weapon familiarity for that build. So maybe I should try to avoid doing that next time, because I did say I would like to not choose other ancestry abilities, and I specifically choose this one multiple times, so shame on me. Oh well. I also went with Alchemical Familiar, which is kind of funny because if you watched my Druid video, I also used an orc with an animal companion, and now I'm doing an orc with Alchemical Familiar. So I guess I'm repeating myself a little bit, but hey, if it works, right? This one is going to be a mutagenist. Now, an easy kind of thing about building a party of all alchemists is, well, I'm doing a default party of 4, and there are 4 subclasses. Makes it pretty easy to pick which subclasses I'm going to use here. Why a mutagenist? Well, because the mutagenist has extra abilities when it comes to mutagens, and mutagens affect your being, like your skin or your body, things like that. And this is going to be helpful for doing extra damage or being extra survivable up front. Now, for the base weapons and everything, I have an orc knuckle dagger and chainmail for this build. And then in the spells, it's not actually spells, it's alchemical items here. I went with Deadweight Mutagen, Energy Mutagen, Juggernaut Mutagen, Silver Tongue Mutagen, Theatrical Mutagen. Now, Juggernaut is going to be one of your primary combat mutagens, as is Energy Mutagen, allowing you to add some extra energy damage to your strikes. And ideally, this can be used when a creature has a weakness to that enemy, so you can find something that's weak to fire, and then use your quick alchemy to make a energy mutagen fire, and then start hitting it with some fiery knuckle dagger punches. As far as some of the others, you might wonder why the theatrical mutagen, for example. Well, that is because this is a background of gladiator, and that is just going into the role play of this character. If you look at the ability scores, this character is not actually maxed out on intelligence, which is the key ability of the alchemist. It is maxed out with a +3 strength and a decent +2 charisma, and that is for its intimidation, its deception, its performance training. And then we also have our gladiatorial lore, and then good athletics training on this build. So as far as an upfront combatant goes, it's going to do all right. I think that the mutagenist still suffers just a little bit, but it's certainly better than it used to be. The other cool thing that I should call out about this is, upfront survivability. The field benefit is when you use a mutagen, you gain a number of temporary hit points equal to your intelligence modifier plus half your level. So, hooray, they gave something to the mutagenist to make them actually want to use mutagens, which is fun. I did give this an alchemical familiar, so you can get a few extra familiar abilities out of it. I would probably go with the either like ambassador, or is it accompanist? Yeah, that helps you on performance checks. And then you could also go with extra reagents as well, something like that. So there we go. There is the hammer build, which is fun. It's a little more of a tank than a hammer, I guess, now that I think of it, with those extra hit points and juggernaut, mutagen, and things like that. This isn't dealing high amounts of damage, but it is going to be rather survivable up front. It is going to be paired up front with this Tengu Toxicologist Anvil build. So it's a Tengu. It's a Wave Diver Tengu. It also using weapon familiarity here to gain access to the katana and wakizashi and a blowgun. The blowgun is for use with the subtle delivery class feat. Your blowgun strikes can apply injury poisons even if they deal no damage due to a creature's resistance. If you critically succeed an attack roll using a blowgun loaded with the darts you've poisoned and the target rolls a failure on the poison's initial save, the target critically fails instead. As far as other things about the Toxicologist go, remember, this is a subclass that suffered greatly earlier due to the number of things that couldn't be poisoned and the reliance on saving poisons. But now there's like this big long text about how you still do acid damage even if it's immune to poison. So that's good. Now, as far as the types of poisons you might use plus other things, I have gone with Spear Frog Poison and Giant Centipede, which are kind of the 2 level ones that you can gain access to. And I would recommend making these with your advanced alchemy in the morning so that you have multiple batches to pre-poison. And I would go in and, if you know you're coming into a big encounter, poison both weapons. Go one-handed katana and then one-handed, of course, wakizashi, and try to hit the same creature twice. Because remember, multiple exposures to the same poison do stack and do immediately advance the poison, including extra damage. So this is a great way to stack up damage and stack up a huge amount of debuffs on a single target. And then I also just went with some exploration-based abilities. We're going to talk about all of the access that this party has to alchemical items later when we go over the full party kind of recap. As far as the stats go, this is a very strength-based build here because it is going to be doing primarily melee damage. So that's why it's a good anvil to go up close to the hammer. This one, however, is maxed out on intelligence because some of the poison abilities are against your class DC, so you want that high intelligence, at least later on. Now let's talk about our cannon. And this is, of course, going to be a goblin bomber with Burn It. I mean, is there any other option for a cannon alchemist? It's the iconic image. I mean, you just have to do it. So, of course, we're also going with Quick Bomber as our class feat. No question there. Now, I like the bomber a lot. I also gave it a coat pistol because it's fun. I gave it some leather armor, maxed out the dex, maxed out the intelligence, and made it kind of charismatic because, goblins. The dexterity, because this is a ranged build, you need to be able to hit things with your bombs. Although, remember, you still deal some damage even on a miss, which is nice. As far as the bombs go, I loaded this character up with basically everything, in addition to the elemental ammunition for their coat pistol. But I mean, Alchemist Fire, that's your high DPS bomb. Bottled Lightning, the most amazing debuffing bomb. But also Skunk Bomb, the most amazing debuffing bomb. Tallow Bomb, also a great debuffing bomb. I mean, it's just so much fun damage plus debuff in the bombs that the Alchemist has access to. So I'm using pretty much as I possibly can with this build. And then this takes us to our last character here, who is the Knoll, or Colo it is called now, Medicinal Clocksmith Chirurgeon, of course. And I also went with Alchemical Familiar here. Now, the Chirurgeon is the default healer of the Alchemist, and this is a very strong subclass if you ask me. So the field benefit, you can use your proficiency rank in crafting for anything that requires a proficiency rank in medicine, and use your crafting modifier in place of your medicine modifier for all checks. That is fantastic. So you don't have to be high wisdom and take medicine training. You just are high intelligence, which you are, and use crafting, which you're already trained in as an alchemist. And then the field vials. Your versatile vials can be used to heal a living creature a number of hit points equal to the vial's initial damage. 1d6. A creature can drink the vial for this benefit, or you can throw the vial at a willing creature within 20 feet as an interact action to heal the creature. You get throwing bombs. You get throwing bombs now. I mean, how fun is that? And this does have I forget what the property is called, but it is like a once every 10 minute kind of ability, like a lot of other healing abilities. So you can't use it over and over and over, but still you can use healing bombs on everyone in your party, every single combat. And then this kind of leads me to the talking about just the other alchemical items that you have access to. So you can see I've doubled down on some things we've already had on the other characters, but then a new one here is the Numbing Tonic. This is a fun one. You gain the listed temporary hit points when you drink the elixir and at the start of each of your turns for 1 minute. So this is another good kind of ongoing healing / buffing ability. Now remember, due to the way that the Alchemist now works, where at the start of every day you get to use Advanced Alchemy to do 4 plus your intelligence modifier items. I believe, let me just double check, but I have a +4, a +3, a +4, and a +4. So 24, 31. Okay. So every morning, this party can make 31 alchemical items. 31. I'm just stunned by how many that is. That basically means you can make, I forget who all has Elixir of Life. Yeah, multiple people do. So you can just probably make like, I don't know, 12, 14, maybe even 16 Elixirs of Life every morning if you want. You can just heal all the time, automatically. I mean, unless, of course, you have terrible rolls on all of those, on all of the uses. But basically, you don't even have to worry about healing because you have all of that. And then you'll have the ability to make so many poisons that you can just poison darts and daggers and, just whatever, in blowgun darts and all that kind of stuff. You could sell stuff. You could use things to convince people otherwise. And then, of course, you also have the ability to use quick alchemy throughout the day. So look at all these things like cognitive mutagen. You're doing some exploration and you need to help, parse through some papers or something. Well, you can use cognitive mutagen for that. You need to talk your way through something, silver tongue mutagen. And you just get to reuse these things all day long due to the way the new versatile vials and quick alchemy work. So I guess this takes us to the good of this party. This is an insane amount of items. I mean, just incredible, to a point that it feels broken, and your inventory management will be crazy, and your GM will hate you for all of the... Actually, I have something for that you will be doing throughout the day. This is a surprisingly balanced party too. Because you have a little bit of everything. You are lacking in the upfront pure damage abilities because, yes, the Toxicologist is better now, but there's still a little bit of dependence on actually hitting at the right time and creatures failing their saves, depending on the poisons that you're using. So nothing that's big upfront automatic, but great range damage, very good healing, and pretty decent upfront damage. And then, of course, skill training. every character, you're all intelligence-based, even though, one of you only has a +3 and not a +4. Still, so much skill training in this party, you're going to be able to get through just about anything. The bad, well, as I said, no true melee damage here. It's really not going to be a party that can brutally smash their way through something. You are going to need to use your smarts. It is, for that reason, also going to be a tough party at the table. And by that, I mean so many alchemical items, so many abilities changing and bonuses and poisons to keep track of and conditions. And you will spend a lot of time in the rule book with this party. So this is going to be, I'm just going to say, it's a rules heavy party. It's going to be difficult. I would not recommend this for a party of beginners. I would not recommend doing this if you are trying to have a quick adventure, like a one-shot. Like if you have an afternoon free and you want to get some friends to build some new characters, don't make a party of alchemists. Pick a cleric and a barbarian or fighter and a gunsmith and a bard or something like that. But like, don't all pick. Just look at how much text there is. Now, granted, some of this is later levels, like 5th and 11th, but still, each creature, each player has their field benefit, their field vials, and then, of course, all the text on all of these different alchemical items, plus the advanced alchemy, which is inventory management, and then the quick alchemy with the depleting but then replenishing 2 every 10 minutes versatile vials. Way more to keep track of with this party than any of the other Oops All parties I've made before. But still a fun party.